In my last podcast, I spoke about Lahari Mahashaya Ji's disciple Swami Sri Yukteswar Giri. In today's podcast, we will be focusing on Swami Sri Yukteswar Giri's disciple Sri Paramhansa Yogananda Ji. Yogananda Ji's life summary is so vast that it would be almost impossible to summarize it in one episode. Hence, we decided to divide it into multiple episodes, each showcasing the early, middle and the late life of Sri Paramhansa Yogananda Ji. Paramhansa Yogananda Ji is considered to be one of the foremost spiritual figures of modern times. His simplicity and optimism towards life and in his teachings can be seen in his one of the most popular sayings, and I quote, "The season of failure is the best time for sowing the seeds of success." Widely regarded as the father of yoga in the West, Paramhansa Yogananda Ji devoted his life to spread the knowledge about the techniques of yoga meditation, a foundation that has today catapulted into the International Yoga Day. By personalizing his own quest for enlightenment and sharing his struggles along the path, Paramhansa Yogananda Ji made yoga accessible to a modern audience, attracting many followers and inspiring millions who practice this ancient tradition now. Today, his Kriya Yoga teachings are widely practiced around the world. In the words of Paramhansa Yogananda Ji, and I quote, "Psychological ferment and my unresponsive body brought me to many obstinate crying spells. I recall the general family bewilderment at my distress. Happier memories to crowd in on me. My mother's curses and my first attempts at lip-sync phrase and toddling step, these early triumphs, usually forgotten quickly, are yet a natural basis of self-confidence," and I unquote. Paramhansa Yogananda's father, Sri Bhagavati Charan Ghosh, was a kind, grave, and at times stern. In the words of Paramhansa Yogananda Ji, and I quote, "Loving him dearly, we children yet observed a certain reverential distance. An outstanding mathematician and logician, he was guided principally by his intellect. But mother was a queen of hearts and taught us only through love. After her death, father displayed more of his inner tenderness. I noticed then that his gaze often metamorphosed into my mother's." As per Sri Paramhansa Yogananda Ji, his father was a strict disciplinarian to his children in their early years. But his attitude towards himself was truly Spartan. He never visited the theatre, for instance, but sought his recreation in various spiritual practices and in reading the Bhagavad Gita. He was a man who believed in an old saying, simple living and high thinking. He shunned all luxuries of life. He would cling to one old pair of shoes until they were useless. His sons bought automobiles after they came into popular use. But Sri Bhagavati Ji was always content with whatever he had. The accumulation of money for the sake of power was alien to his nature. Another example of his simplicity can be seen from the fact that several years after Bhagavati Ji's retirement on a pension, an English accountant arrived to examine the books of the Bengal Nagpur Railway Company. The amazed investigator discovered that Bhagavati Ji had never applied for an overdue bonus. In the words of the investigator accountant, "He did the work of 3 men. He has rupees 1,25,000 owing to him as back compensation." The officials presented Bhagavati Ji with a check for this amount. He thought so little about it that he overlooked any mention to the family. Yogananda Ji's father was a man who believed in Karma Yoga. One fine afternoon, one of his colleagues at work asked for a leave of absence from work in order to visit his guru, Lahari Mahashaya Ji. To which Sri Bhagavati Charan Ghosh Ji replied, and I quote, "Are you going to become a religious fanatic? Concentrate on your work if you want to forge ahead." However, the same day, After work, when both of them were walking home together, Sri Bhagwati Ghoshji tried to console his junior, Avinash Babu, whose leave request he had disapproved earlier, by pointing out the advantages of striving for worldly success. In the words of Avinash ji, and I quote, "But I heard him listlessly. My heart was repeating, Lahadi Mahashay, I cannot live without seeing you." Our path took us to the edge of a tranquil field where the rays of the late afternoon sun were still crowning the tall ripple of the wild grass. We paused in admiration. There in the field, only a few yards from us, the form of my great guru suddenly appeared. "Bhagwati, you are too hard on your employee." His voice was resonant in our astounded ears. He vanished as mysteriously as he had come. On my knees, I was exclaiming, "Lahadi Mahashay, Lahadi Mahashay." Your father was motionless with stupefaction for a few moments. "Abhinash, not only do I give you leave, but I give myself leave to start for Banaras tomorrow. I must know this great Lahadi Mahashay, who is able to materialize himself at will in order to intercede for you. I will take my wife and ask this master to initiate us in his spiritual path. Will you guide us to him?" "Of course," said Avinash Babu, and I unquote. Coming back to the topic, Paramhansa Yogananda ji was born as Mukundlal Ghosh on January 5th, 1893 in Gorakhpur, India, into a devout and well-to-do Bengali family. From his earliest years, it was evident to those around him that the depth of his awareness and experience of the spiritual was far beyond the ordinary. Both his parents were disciples of Lahadi Mahashay, the renowned master who was instrumental in reintroducing Kriya Yoga in modern India. When Yogananda was an infant in his mother's arms, Lahadi Mahashay blessed him and foretold, "Little mother, thy son will be a yogi. As a spiritual engine, he will carry many souls to God's kingdom." In the words of Paramhansa Yogananda ji, and I quote, "Lahadi Mahashay left this world shortly after I had entered it. His picture in an ornate frame always graced our family altar in the various cities to which father was transferred by his office. Many a morning and evening, I found my mother and myself meditating before an improvised shrine, offering flowers dipped in fragrant sandalwood paste. With frankincense and myrrh, as well as our united devotions, we honored the divinity which had found full expression in Lahadi Mahashay. His picture had a surpassing influence over my life. As I grew, the thought of the master grew with me. In meditation, I would often see his photographic image emerge from its small frame and, taking a living form, sit before me. When I attempted to touch the feet of his luminous body, it would change and again become the picture. As childhood slipped into boyhood, I found Lahadi Mahashay transformed in my mind from a little image cribbed in a frame to a living enlightening presence. I frequently prayed to him in moments of trial and confusion, finding within me his solacing direction. At first, I grieved because he was no longer physically living. As I began to discover his secret omnipresence, I lamented no more. He had often written to those of his disciples who were over anxious to see him, "Why come to view my bones and flesh when I am ever within range of your kautastha, that is the spiritual side?" At a young age of 8, Sri Paramhansa Yogananda ji fell ill with cholera. He was so ill that he could barely move his body. His mother suggested to bow mentally to the picture of Sri Lahadi Mahashay, who miraculously healed Yogananda ji of his uncontrollable nausea and other symptoms. This holy photograph of Lahadi Mahashay has a separate story to its own name. Sri Lahadi Mahashay had an aversion to being photographed. Over his protest, a group picture was once taken of him and a cluster of devotees. An amazed photographer discovered that the plate, which had clear images of all the disciples, revealed nothing more than a blank space in the center, where he had reasonably expected to find the outlines of Lahadi Mahasaya. The phenomena was widely discussed. Gangadhar Babu, a confident student and expert photographer, boasted that the fugitive figure would not escape him. As the Guru sat in lotus posture on a wooden bench with a screen behind him the following day, Gangadhar Babu arrived with his equipment. Taking every precaution for success, he greedily exposed 12 plates. However, he found the imprint of the wooden bench and screen on each one, but once again, the master's form was missing. With tears and shattered pride, Gangadhar Babu sought out his master. It was many hours before Lahadi Mahasaya broke his silence with a comment. Lahadi Mahasaya ji said, and I quote, "I am spirit. Can your camera reflect the omnipresent invisible?" To which the photographer replied, "I see it cannot. But holy sir, I lovingly desire a picture of the bodily temple where alone, to my narrow vision, that the spirit appears fully to dwell. Come, then tomorrow morning, I will pose for you." Again the photographer focused his camera. The sacred figure, not cloaked with mysterious imperceptibility, was sharp on the plate this time. Coming back to the topic, in his youth, Sri Paramhansa Yogananda ji sought out many of India's sages and saints, hoping to find an illumined teacher to guide him in his spiritual quest. It was in 1910, at the age of 17, that he met and became a disciple of the revered Swami Sri Yukteswar Giri. In the hermitage of this great master of yoga, he spent the better part of the next 10 years, receiving Sri Yukteswar's strict but loving spiritual discipline. At their very first meeting, and on many occasions thereafter, Sri Yukteswar told the young disciple that he had been chosen as the one to disseminate the ancient science of Kriya Yoga in America and worldwide. After graduating from Calcutta University in 1915, Mukund took formal vows as a monk of India's venerable monastic Swami order, at which times he received the name Yogananda, signifying bliss, Anand through divine union, that is yoga. His ardent desire to concentrate his life to the love and service of God thus found fulfillment. That is all for this session of the USP show. See you in the next episode. Namaskar, stay home, stay safe, and try looking for answers within.